Hey foodies, thanks for watching. Today I'm going to show you how to make cake donuts. We're going to do a cinnamon sugar glazed cake donut. I'm so excited to share these with you. I've become addicted to donuts. And we're using Frankie's gluten-free all-purpose flour today, which is wonderful. And we're going to get started. So you want to start with 2 cups of flour. 1, 2. And these donuts, they're a cake donut, not a deep fried donut, so I consider them a little bit healthier. And to that flour, you're adding a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1, 2, 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Mine's a little bit lumpy, but that's okay. The mixer is going to just pulverize all this. And before I throw that into the mixer, I'm just going to do a really light mix just to get the dry ingredients all mixed together. And I'm going to add in 3/4 of a cup of milk. And it sounds weird, but I'm adding in a teaspoon of vinegar. And that's to make the milk work more as a buttermilk. It actually sours up the milk. And then I'm going to put in about half of this butter, which is about 2 tablespoons of butter I'm putting in. The other butter I'm using is going to be for the glaze. Okay, so I'm going to put this in, and I'm going to get it mixing up, and I'm going to add my eggs. Okay, so it's lightly mixed, and I'm going to mix in 2 lightly beaten eggs. And the reason why it needs to be lightly beaten is just so that it's already mixed up. You don't have to really work the batter. Okay, so I'm going to mix that up till it's really well combined. Oh, this looks great so far. I'm going to scrape down the walls and give it a really light mix one more time just to make sure all the dry ingredients are really mixed. The trick with most baking is you can't overmix, but when it comes to gluten-free baking, you can whip it and whip it and whip it, and it doesn't get tough, it doesn't get overly elastic, it works. And I recommend overbeating and overmixing everything you make. It's going to whip in lots of air and make it a lot fluffier. Okay, this looks amazing. I mean, it looks a bit like a thick pancake batter. And it's going to taste just as good as pancakes. Okay, so I've got my donut pans. I picked these up at my local store and they're great, and it actually came with the recipe, which is exciting. I can put the link in the description below of where I got mine, and they weren't expensive. So I'm going to take a little bit of that butter with a brush, and I'm just going to lightly butter the pan. And this recipe makes 12 donuts, cake donuts. So you can do them in 2 batches, or you can do what I've done is I've just bought 2 pans and then I just bake it all at once. So I'm going to set these over here. Oh, I forgot nutmeg. We have to add 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. I have fresh nutmeg, so I'm going to grate pretty much this whole thing and just mix it in. Oh, that smells good. I think there's lots there. Might be a bit nutmeggy now. And I'm just going to fold in this nutmeg because it just needs to be mixed in. Look at that. It's like we didn't even forget it. Okay, so I've got a piping bag here, and I find it's easiest to pipe the dough into each donut cavity than scooping it or spooning it in. But if you want to spoon it, by all means, go ahead and spoon it. I'm going to pipe it in. If you're looking to make your own piping bag, you can. I've got a handy little tutorial on how to make your very own piping bag with parchment paper. And I'll link to that in the description below as well. But because this is so messy, I'm just using a little disposable piping bag. Okay, so. And you want to cut about a ½ inch off so that you've got about a ½ inch or a full centimeter opening, because it's going to expand just a little bit as you pipe it out. And then you're piping it and you're filling it just to the top of the center opening. Okay, so look at these. These are all ready to go in the oven. I'm going to pop them in my preheated oven of 425 degrees Fahrenheit for between 7 to 9 minutes. Look at these donuts. They look great. So these were in for about 8 minutes. And some of them I've overfilled a little bit too much, but it just means more donut to eat, which is great. So I'm going to let these rest for a few minutes as per the instructions, and we're going to make the glaze. And it's really easy to make. So we take the last part of our butter and we're going to put that in there. That's that. And then we're going to put in a tablespoon of cinnamon, ground cinnamon. And now the recipe from the donut pans told me to put 2 tablespoons of white granulated sugar, and I don't think it's enough. It's really cinnamony, which if you're an absolute fan of cinnamon, then by all means, but I think it would be almost burningly hot. So I'm going to double the amount of white sugar. And then we just stir it up. And this is going to be more than enough cinnamon sugar to coat your donuts. So if there's any left over, use it on toast for breakfast. You can put it on your porridge, whatever you like. And you can see, I mean, I've doubled the amount of sugar, and it's still very dark. So feel free to add more sugar or less cinnamon. You're the chef in your kitchen, so you be the judge. Okay, so I got everything prepped, ready to go. The only thing I don't have is a plate. Because I'm going to want to put these donuts on something. So, yeah, they're cool enough. So we're going to pop them out of the pan, and they might take a little bump, but I find if you just tap the pan like that, and boom, they come right out. Nice and easy. And so you coat them with the butter, shake off the excess, and then coat them with the sugar. Oh my goodness. These are so... I don't know if words will even justify how good these look. I think before I go on, I've got to try these. Because donut, you know, we got to find out if they're good or not. So... they're so fluffy. I mean, the inside is just so... there's so many bubbles and air pockets, and it's like a little taste of heaven when you bite into it. It's just, it's so good, especially for someone like myself who can't have store-bought donuts because they're typically made of wheat, and I can't have wheat. And when you can have a homemade gluten-free donut, oh my goodness, they're so good. You can freeze these and microwave them, thaw them out, have them whenever you like at that point, and enjoy. Thanks for watching. I look forward to reading all of your comments. See you again soon.